I'm sorry. Like it's, we all know
No,
it.
you're right.
We don't
You're
need
right.
to get, we don't need to get worked up
I was
about
just
it.
trying not to.
It's fine.
I'm just saying I'm glad you said it instead of me because I was just I was like, well,
For sure. I'm just trying to explain why I felt comfortable saying it because it's just to give a better description. And again, it's like if people talk that way, that's how they talk. But we're talking about jobs where the people's voice is the focus of this job. So it's very important that people have the right voice for this sort of thing, And so after I'd been hearing it, and I was kind of getting like, I don't want to say bothered, but it was the exact same thing that you're saying where it's like I can't even focus on the news because this person's voice is taken away from the story. And so then a little bit after that, they did a report about how like women are expected to sound like men in the job, otherwise they're not taken seriously, and women have all this pressure to put on them to sound like men, and men have everything easy, yada yada yada. And so what I wrote to them was like, I'm a person who actually can get very animated in the way that I speak, and I can get really emotional, and I can get so emotional about things when I talk about them that it takes away, like people, I might be saying, if you wrote my words down and you handed them to somebody, people might go, oh shit, he's making a lot of sense. But because I can get so emotional and worked up about things, people just hear that and they don't understand that I'm making sense. Like this would happen in arguments with the band back in the day if I'm trying to motivate and I think I'm saying something like really strong and motivational, like come on guys, we gotta do this, and they're all just like rolling their eyes because I'm too worked up about it, right? And so what I said was, would you find it acceptable if I said that when I speak emotionally that I'm talking like a woman? I don't think people would find that be acceptable. But you say like all men speak on this monotone.
I don't think so either.
All men though speak in this and we just naturally speak this way. And this is how people do. And it's like, no. That's not how, like, men train themselves to speak that way, or people, men and women, in these, like, news broadcasting jobs where their voice is important, train themselves to sound that way, and you know why? Because it's the best way to communicate information to other people, by having that voice. It's got nothing to do with men or women. It's if you talk clearly and concisely, and you keep your voice monotone, the words come through more than your voice does. And that's all there is to it.
Because... yeah, your voice, especially in a newscaster scenario, your voice is a vehicle for the information. It's not about who you are; it's about getting the information across.
Right, and that's like saying that, okay, if you want to start a rock band, it'd be okay to have a lead ukulele instead of a lead guitar. There's nothing wrong inherently with the ukulele, but it doesn't sound right when you're trying to make fucking rock music. It's just simple,
right.
Like that's you can make all sorts of great music with the ukulele, but you can't make rock with it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I will say I am really trying to picture what that would sound like with enough distortion. Maybe, probably not.
Yeah, I mean,
but I know that's not your point at all. But I'm just now you just.
No, I like going down this road though. We got to explore it because I do think that could be something where like if a band could get good at it enough for like one song, that's enough of a gimmick to get like one tour and like a little bit of money out of it. Like, oh, let's check out this band. It's got a wicked ukulele player. People would eat that up, man.
I don't know. Like maybe some like Jack Johnson
Samoans.
Yeah, maybe Samoans would really be into that. But if someone said, "Hey man, you got to check out this band. They got a sick ukulele player," I'm like, pass.
Well, when you put it like that, but the gimmick though, you gotta give it up. Like it's the same thing as like when you see a band that has a sax player that uses like effects pedals, and it's like, oh wow,
oh yeah, dude. Like seriously, like I got firsthand experience with that. Like this is a humble brag, but I opened for Bruce Lamont once, who he's not a huge name, but he's a pretty well-known saxophone player from Chicago, and he played a lot of shows with Scott Kelly, who is the frontman of the metal band Neurosis. But when he did his solo projects, he brought on Bruce Lamont to play these like crazy saxophone bits through like not distortion, but like a lot of just delay and all this. And he is a fucking amazing musician. Like watching his set was awesome. And like I was honored to be able to play with him, and like again, like kind of like a little humble brag here, but like just like it was so cool to me that when my set was done, this guy who has no reason to talk to me was like, "Hey man, that was really cool." Like, fuck yes, thank you so much.
Nice, hell yeah. Fuck yeah, man, that's cool. Fucking A. Speaking of the sax, that you know what's really crazy? So, I mean, I never spoke about this on air, and honestly, if I bring this up and people decide to start listening to the show, they'd be like, wow, Nick really, like, talks like he wants to be on this podcast all the time, but there's my favorite show that I listen to, well, whenever it's out. It used to be daily, now it's 3 times a week, but Dan Le Batard show with Stu Gotts, and then Stu Gotts has his own podcast called Stupodity, and they've become friends with Kenny G over the past couple of years. And just like last week, Stu Gotts did an interview with Kenny G, and I swear to God, that dude isn't the funniest motherfucker. You would not ever guess how fucking awesome Kenny G is. Like, he just, you know, you think he's just the weakest dude with his little saxophone and his curly hair and all this shit. Like, but that dude is fucking hilarious, man. I just gotta give it up to Kenny G. That's all. You brought up saxophone. I just had to say, that guy is great.
Well, and that's always like such a cool thing when you find out, even if it's an artist that you're not necessarily into, like if you find out they're a really cool person, that's always pretty awesome to just. Well, and he's like
filthy as fuck. He's always just making sax jokes, like, you know, using like sax, like he's talking about sex or. I don't know. He did a story about how he played with Whitney Houston and this prank that he was playing on her because she was such a fucking diva, and then he was like, but I got to play with her on stage in Madison Square Garden, and I'm looking at her, and she just had that beautiful face, and she's singing to me, and I'm playing the sax back, and I'm just thinking, are we gonna make love later?
Well, he's got that. What key? Well, not key, but
it's soprano.
It's soprano sax. Okay, I thought that might be it because it doesn't even have the dip. It's just it looks like a flute, but it's not.
Like a clarinet, like more or less. Right? Yeah. Yes, I don't know. I always just gotta, like, I find that to be one of the funniest things I've ever, well, anybody who listens to that show has probably discovered, like, Kenny G is the man. Whoever would have thought that, you know, he'd be sitting here, just his elevator awesome. Music, and it's like, no, this guy's fucking great, yeah.
Shout out Kenny G.
Yeah, I don't even know that's a worthwhile story for this. I just, you know, I love gushing about the Dan Le Batard show, because they're pretty amazing, and they actually made me want to get into, you know, doing our own little, as you know, make me first start thinking about wanting to do like some radio or podcast type shit because they have so much fucking fun doing it. So, yeah, you know, we like to give shout outs here to our millions of listeners, and yeah, check it out.
I'm sure Kenny G will hear this and be like, I want to be on that show.
Yeah.
I got an open seat on the couch right next to me, man. You're welcome anytime.
Oh yeah, man. Kenny G, come on. We'll start ordering people on Cameo, and we'll have like guest appearances just that way. It's just going to be like expensive as fuck.
How much does an hour of a celebrity's time cost on Cameo?
I think it's like hundreds of dollars for like 5 minutes with one of those. Like you just get like a short little video.
I mean, depending on who it is, but I've looked it up and it's like, I mean, like, I don't know what the time limits are, but it's generally just like a very brief thing, and it's like $300. So okay, what does an hour of your time cost?
It is a pretty cool thing, though. I gotta say, I mean, And then there's people who are like $40-$50, like that people like, so you can find something like that's pretty neat. But it is a cool way if somebody's like a super fan that you can give them a birthday message, from like their favorite celebrity just that easily. Like it's a pretty fucking cool program. But goddamn, yeah, you're right. $300 for 5 minutes. So yeah, what is that times 12? $3,600 an hour. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Stool with Matt and Nick.
So have you seen that they want to start doing these vaccine passports?
I've heard about them a little bit. I mean, I know that it's an idea. I don't know how much they're trying to make it be like the law. That's what I'm kind of clueless about. But I do know the concept. But perhaps you can explain it a little bit.
Yeah. So, like, I guess they're considering it in Britain, or honestly, it seems like it's going to be a thing in Britain and possibly here, but. Like Biden has basically all but said that they're going to make it a thing, but it's a system in which basically to get into any establishment, you're going to have this card that gets scanned just to be like let into a bar, at least in populated areas, and for as much this is a generally conservative standpoint, more or less, as far as like this being bullshit. And like this was sent to me by my dad. It was a video in email, as a lot of them are, and a lot of those emails I disregard, or not necessarily disregard, but don't agree with, to say the least. This one, I'm like, yeah, that's a bit much. That's kind of scary because like. It's the human equivalent to like taking your dog into a doggy daycare. It's like, are you up on your vaccinations? Like, papers, please, to get into this fucking bar. Like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Like the one thing I would say, just to I don't want to push back on it because I completely agree that it does make you just kind of cringe that it's just another method of control. And as much as I don't think a lot of the things our government does, I think most of the things our government does comes out of good intention, and it's often people just wanting to be conspiracy theorists who then turn it into, well, this is just a way to control us. But we do have to be smart enough to look at something when it could be used as a method of control and say, you know what, maybe this isn't the worst thing right now, but it sets up a precedent. But again, the only thing to push back on it a little bit is, like, if you decided you wanted to go to Africa, you would have to get certain vaccinations to get your visa. You would have to go through certain things, or vice versa, or to go to Australia, you have to go through like a whole bunch of things to make sure that, we're not taking diseases across. So this is already like very much ingrained in society. And the thing with the dogs is, we understand that we don't want like our dogs getting sick. We understand that, like, yeah, you want your dog to be vaccinated so it doesn't get sick when it's playing with all these other dogs, and then you don't get the other dogs sick. So, like, it is kind of funny to me that we can get behind these sorts of rules for our dogs, but then we don't give ourselves the same respect that we give the dogs. Like, to say, yeah, actually it would be safe. It would be better for everybody if we were all vaccinated. It's just the problem it comes down to is, like you said, like, to show your papers and what that kind of gives... What that puts in your mind, like, obviously,
sure. Well, I mean, like, I guess what bothers me about it is, it's like, how far is that going to go? Exactly. Because of the implication that you have to be vaccinated for a specific thing to go into a place is kind of a lot. And, like... no one asks right now for your proof that you had a flu shot before you go into a fucking crowded bar.